Hello, everybody. My name is Mike Hurd,
And I'm Cathy Casey.
and today we're going to have a conversation about sleep. So, Cathy, something that I've been very curious about lately is my experience with sleep. And I also hear from many people who have different experiences with sleep. And my history with sleep, for times in my past, recent past, I've had probably what could be determined as insomnia, where I haven't been able to sleep or sleep at all, or sleep, it's just I've had um, had a very poor relationship with sleep over the past, I'd say, decade. And recently, I've noticed that I'm having a good relationship with sleep. It's not. There are still times where I'll wake up and I won't go right back to sleep, but maybe I'll grab a book or I'll go out and watch a documentary, or it's like I have this instinct that tells me, all right, it's not a big deal. And I'll do something, but then I'll fall back asleep again. So I'm curious what your take is on that,
Mhm.
on sleep, just the sleep
Yeah, yeah,
in
yeah,
general, and
yeah,
what seems to be this, I don't know, at times this epidemic of not sleeping and
yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah.
Well, first of all, this is one of my most favorite things to talk about because I've never really focused on sleep per se. I've never done a program around helping people get better sleep at night. But invariably, after I've done programs in the jail system or in the corporate world, one of the things that we hear about, and one of the effects of the work that we do with the group, is they're able to sleep better. And we didn't even talk about sleeping. And so I can explain to you why it is like recently your sleep is not an issue anymore. It's not a big deal. Or if you wake up, it's not a big deal anymore. And I'm going to tell a little story because I think this really kind of everybody could relate to this little story. So when I was working with Dr. George Pransky, he was my mentor, and he asked me to travel with him to roll out a new program at this big corporation. And so we had to fly to Boston from I had to fly from California to Boston, flew in on a Saturday, and then, spent Sunday traveling from Boston to New Hampshire. The training was up in New Hampshire. And the night before the training, now I'm like wanting to be really rested to do this project. And I'm there to kind of be the eyes and ears for George. I'm there to see how the group is doing because he's rolling out a brand new program. And so I'm like really excited and, like, okay, I want to be able, really fresh and rested to do this. So the night before, Sunday night, I can't sleep. And oh, this is not good. Okay, Cathy, you got to get to sleep. 1 o'clock in the morning, I'm still wide awake. And I'm like, oh, this is not good. This is bad. I'm going to be a total wreck tomorrow. I'm never at my best. When I don't get sleep, I'm terrible. And so I just was really, really just upset that I couldn't. And the harder I tried to get to sleep, the more I couldn't get to sleep. And so I finally fell asleep at like 4 in the morning, which is worse because then I had to get up at 6:30. Plus there was jet lag. And so when I woke up, I was just a wreck. I meet George for breakfast. And he said, so how was your evening? I said, oh, George, it was horrible. I didn't get any sleep. I mean, I barely got an hour and a half. He said, yeah, I couldn't get to sleep either. So, I got to work on my book. And then I was checking the channels on the TV, and there was this great old movie on, which was fabulous. And he started talking about all the things he did while he couldn't get to sleep. And I'm sitting there, he's having a good time. And I'm freaking out the whole night. I can't sleep. And he's having fun. What I realized just listening to him was he made no meaning about it. He had nothing on it. It didn't bother him in the least. Well, I can't sleep, so let me see what else I can do. So that's when I saw the reason why I couldn't get to sleep was I had so much thinking about the fact that I couldn't get to sleep. So the next
Mm.
night, it's time to go to bed. And sure enough, I can't get to sleep again. And I thought, oh, well, oh, well. And I decided to read a book. I started reading a book, and pretty soon I'm asleep. And I tried reading a book the night before, and I kept reading and reading, reading, and staying awake, staying awake, staying awake, because I was using the book to get to sleep, as opposed to, oh, well, I don't care if I don't get to sleep, and let me just read in the meantime. So the point I'm making is, one reason a lot of us struggle with sleep is because we're struggling in our mind with it. We make a lot of meaning about it. So there's not being able to sleep, and then we add an extra layer of all the thinking we have about not being able to sleep. So if you're in all that thinking, well, of course you can't get to sleep. So that's I think something we can all relate to, is that we just go nuts with it. The other thing I want people to realize, and this is for you, Michael. Now, in other areas of your life, have you noticed things have changed for you without you working on it?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Now, what do
So,
you think accounts for that? What, given what you've learned around the nature of thought and the nature of how thought creates our experience in general, what do you make of the fact that's kicked in for you in these different areas, including sleep?
yeah, what I've seen is when I try really hard to do something or to fix something, that I have much better results when I almost just ease into whatever is going on, and I don't have a lot or as much thinking about
Yeah,
it
yeah,
or wanting to fix it. There's this overarching, yeah, I want this to change. It would be nice if this changed. It would be nice if I maybe hit this goal. But the way I approach it today is much more I'm much more at ease. I'm much more um, I'm not sure what the right word is, but other than ease, that's
yeah,
the one that comes to mind. Like it's not trying as hard. It's paradoxical, I think, where I was always trained
mhm,
to, try hard,
yeah,
work
yeah,
really hard, and
yeah.
you'll hit your goal or you'll accomplish this thing. And it seems that it's almost the opposite is true.
See, you're speaking to the nature of thought. See, and here's the thing: we're not saying, oh, you shouldn't, want to succeed or
Hmm.
want to get to sleep or want to, do whatever. But many times we have a lot on things. We have a lot of attachment. And see, the more attachment or the more goal oriented we are, that requires a lot of thought. And the more thought we have within ourselves, the harder it is to get to where we want to go. And you're right, it is a paradox. So the nature of thought is less is better. Lighter states of mind are better than heavy states of mind. And you could go into any profession in the sports world. If they go out on, like, football season's kicking off here, and well, where I live, it's, kicking off right now. And if the football player goes out onto the field and he's just in a light state of mind, and he's in the zone, and he's just responding. I mean, he had to learn how to play, but once he's out on the field, he wants a clear mind. He's going to have a successful game. But if he goes out there overthinking everything, or being hyper vigilant, or being overly in his head. In fact, there's a famous football player, and Jim Marshall. He worked for, I think he was on the Minnesota Vikings. Couple of Super Bowl rings, really big time player. I got to meet him in my travels. But anyway, he got the nickname Wrong Way Marshall because he was what is it? He was a big linebacker or whatever. Well, he got the ball. And so he gets the ball and he starts running, and he can't hear anything. He just hears the crowd screaming and everybody screaming. Well, he ran to the wrong end. He scored for the other team.
Hmm.
And he talks about how when they would go out onto the field, they would get them all jacked up, they get all jacked up, really just jacked up in their heads. And he said he had not a clue. In his mind, he was running the right way. His mind was the opposite of free and clear. So again, in any profession, like if I'm going to have brain surgery, actually, I had hip replacement surgery recently. Now, I don't want my surgeon to be overthinking everything. Okay, I hope I'm doing it right. Oh, I hope she's going to be okay. Oh, I don't want him tripping in his head while he's doing my surgery. I want him to have the skills, but I want him in the zone so that he needs to do what's necessary as he's working on doing the surgery in my hip. So having a light state of mind, or being present, or free and clear, or at ease, there are so many words. So again, if your mind is intense and very heavy, then it's like, yeah, you're going to feel that. And so if you're
Mm.
trying to get to sleep at night with a very heavy and intense mind, it's going to be more difficult to get to sleep.
And that example that you gave about the surgeon it just impacted me because talking about a surgeon, they need to be well prepared. They need to be well trained, well prepared. And that preparation is important, it's critical. But then during the operation, it's coming from that place that you're describing, that place of calm and ease and
Yeah.
confidence um,
Well,
and really not thinking about it.
exactly. It's like triage. You see, there's this word triage. There's a mode that people go into in the medical field when if there's a shooting somewhere and they're ending up in the hospital, and the surgeons, they go into triage mode. And what that means is they will do whatever is necessary to keep the person alive at the beginning. They'll do whatever is necessary. So they don't have a prepared anything. They're just in the zone. Their minds have to be free and clear to know what to do at any given moment, because they haven't had time to prepare for that surgery. So there are different words to describe. In the golfing world, here's another cute story. I was dating this guy, and we'd get together and have dinner or whatever. And he loves to play golf. He's into playing golf. So I would say, how's it going with golf? And he would then complain about the golf game. He would complain, he missed this shot, he missed that shot. And I said, well, I thought you were playing golf because you enjoyed it. It doesn't sound like you're having much fun. Well, that's just how it is. I said, really? You play something that's not a lot of fun? I said, well, tell me what frustrates you about golf? He said, well, I can make a great shot, and then the next hole, it's a disaster. I said, okay, let's back up. So when you're doing that shot where it's a great shot, how would you describe your state of mind when you're doing that? And he says, well, I can't even describe it because it's like I don't have one. I said, yeah, you're just in the moment, right? Okay, when you go to the next hole, how would you describe your state of mind on the next hole? Well, I want to make the same shot that I made at the last hole. There's your problem. You're in a lot of thinking. You want to replicate that last shot. So the state of mind you're in on the second shot has a lot more on it than the first shot. He said, I never considered that. I said, well, that's what your problem is. So he goes out and plays golf again. And he tells me, my game was fantastic. Wow. You telling me that made all the difference in the world. I said, well, how about if I give classes at the golf, at the club? I'll just have classes on state of mind for golfers. Oh, no, no, no. I don't want you to do that. I said, well, why not? Well, because I feel like this gives me an edge. I don't want anybody else to know. But if you talk to anybody playing golf, it's a state of mind. And in fact, Tiger Woods, somebody interviewed him and they said, how is it that you do these amazing things when you play golf with all these people around, and there's got to be a million distractions, even when it's supposed to be quiet? And he looked at the interviewer and he said in a very matter-of-fact way, I win with my mind. And see, it's 90% mind and 10% skill. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So again, so I'm not saying you should work on not having thinking while you're trying to get to sleep, because that's not going to work either. But if you could just appreciate that everything is created from your state of mind, if you could see that there's no exception, every moment of your life comes from where your state of mind is. If you could kind of see that in general, what will happen is what's happened to you. And one last story, I used to teach inmates in jail, and I taught in this high secure gang unit, and they were in for some serious stuff, and they're isolated individual cells. So for some reason, the commander, he asked me to teach in this particular unit because there's so many fights. As soon as they let them out, they'd fight. So sure, so I taught them about how their state of mind works. We just talked about that. And so every week I'd say, so how's it going? How is this impacting anything different? And most of the time they would say, I'm able to sleep.
Hmm.
And I said, well, what do you mean? He said, well, when you're locked up in a cell, all you have is your head. And your head is thinking about a million things. And you can't get sleep with that going on all the time. You have no distractions. And you're just in there with your head and all these thoughts. But since I've learned about the nature of thought, for some reason, I'm just able to sleep better. Well, it's because their minds have lightened up in general. And so the fighting went away. They were able to sleep better. So when we just start to get hit to the nature of what's going on in our minds, that's what's keeping us up. So if you just recognize that and go, oh, well, I guess, a lot going on, and you don't make a whole lot of meaning about it, you just appreciate it, see what happens, but without being attached. You don't want to be attached. You want to just, okay, I can't sleep. Oh, well. And then just be with wherever you are and see what happens.
Great. Well, this has been great. Thank you, Cathy.
All right. Good luck to everybody.